2 years ago, I discovered the music of Genshin Impact. And if you're anything like me, the reason why you were drawn to that music was because of one person. And that person is Yu-Peng Chen. Yu-Peng Chen has moved on from Genshin Impact and has now released his first album away from that game. That brand new album is called Fantasyland, and it released on July 19th, 2024. There are 2 pieces that were on his YouTube channel before that release: Infinite Cloister of Flowers and Sins, and Circle Dance of the Evernight Castle. Let's watch both and break down both from an emotional perspective. So cool to see Yu-Peng Chen on the piano. A lot of friends from the London Philharmonic. Really, again, always melodically beautiful playing here. Melody-driven pieces here. As we slowly layer. Get ourselves a little tango. Having a lot of short, long in here, which is really excellent. Love hearing how the piano intertwines with the strings, with the accordions. Now we've got some doubling. Now we get added the violin again. Short rhythms here. A lot of unison movement in there. Nice. Now we have the full orchestra coming. Everything that was just everything was just introduced. Now we reintroduce it with the full orchestra. Nice earworm in there. So let's stop there and talk a little bit about what we've heard in this first half and why this theme is so beautiful. Obviously, we have a tango, we have a dance, and that dance really is expressive, and it really showcases a sense of danger, of sensuality. Some of the ways that we hear that, of course, in this piece is through rhythm and through short, long phrases. That's the thing that's really common in here. Something that was really interesting to me throughout this entire first 3 minutes of this piece is how the piano is never too far away. We have a constant sense that the piano is aiding us in guiding us in this experience. So even though we have lots of moments where we have accordion or violins or there's some doubling that occurs in there, the piano is always underneath. The piano is always playing 16th and 32nd notes. It's always ever present. It's always bubbling under the surface. I think that sort of dynamic layering from top to bottom is really interesting for us because it's not really about volume. It's more about the size of what's occurring. And that's what makes this really interesting because you could do away with the piano or with the doubling and you would still maybe get the same sense. But what makes this more interesting from a listener's perspective and what sort of makes time stand still and makes us almost euphoric is the fact that we have all this instrumentation underneath that's helping us feel like we are literally swimming in sound. That's one of the most beautiful things about this particular piece is that it's not necessarily revolutionary. The tango is the tango. But what I really like like here is that there is a bunch of structure and layer so that we can listen and be enveloped in the sound. One of the other key things that I found really interesting is that the melodic work in here is really, really exceptional. This is the classic earworm technique. And Yu-Peng Chen has always excelled at the ability to create earworms, something that you could listen to once and then still be able to sing it back. There's something about melodic writing that penetrates our spirits and allows us to feel more connected to the music we're listening to. And there's a big difference between ambient tracks that sound beautiful and sound pretty and melodic tracks that feel like they're really telling a story through their music. Why is the melody so catchy? And melodic writing is a really interesting and phenomenal thing because it's not fully clear to me what makes melody so profound and how some melodies are good and nice and other melodies are truly like life-changing without being hyperbolic. We have to stop and consider that. You know, this piece is really lush and it really lends itself to a sound quality of passion and of joy and in a sense of bubbling water. And I've really enjoyed so much of this first half. Let's keep going. So now the cello's taking front and center. We have short playing in the violins, but the long playing in the cello. Nice accents on the woodwinds. The piano is doubling with those woodwinds. This doubling really aids in telling this story. Now we have counter melody and the lower strings. And now the harp is aiding us in telling a story. Again, we're talking about layering and how vitally important that is. Also, wait, we should talk about that. What an amazing little thing. Da 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 ya da ya da 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 da. The way that we sort of swell into this note right here. Right there. What a fantastic little thing. It's so subtle. This is the little intricacies about this that make it so good. Da, da, da. Isn't that so satisfying? Da, da, da. Such a nice little movement there rhythmically that's very satisfying to listen to. It's a little playful. It's a little bit effervescent. It's a little relaxing almost. Castanets. This is rhythmic and melodic. We're re-emphasizing a lot of notes here. Love that. Love that big swing. We're just repeating ourselves a bunch. It just works. That is a little bit of danger in those chords. Nice swell into. Now everybody comes back together. Love those trills in there too. Now it's like two separate sections. A counter melody in the big orchestra and the original melody in the accordions up front. It's like the orchestra's aiding that little quartet up there, the little sextet. Beautiful piano playing. Swell. Very loud. repetition in there. You know what? That is such a smart little ending. I had not heard that ending, and look at how we basically move from this big right? We hear that pretty much the entire song. In some variation, we basically sort of go on a journey with that motif, which is really interesting. You could say that is maybe too repetitive, but I actually think it's quite nice because it really locks us in, and we meander around with that melody so much that it does always sort of have its own identity. And one of the things that Yu-Peng Chen does really well is that distribution of melody throughout different instruments, because each instrument has a different tone and sound quality. And so what we hear in the piano or an accordion is going to sound really different in a cello, like we hear near the middle of this piece. But this ending is really fantastic because it's done so well. It's such a good job at ending this piece without just repeating itself over and over and over. Listen to this. So we literally are at the peak of this. This is max volume stuff. And then look at how genius this is. How do we get out of that? How do we move away from being the max loudness? Well, we go to the woodwinds, which tend to be softer, and we have this little playful banter and a recap of that motif in the violin. Doubling in the piano. Big, sort of whoa. And then see how we're playing that motif? As the piano sort of twinkles us, and then we end. It's really, really nice ending. Really, really beautiful piece. It doesn't necessarily do a lot of crazy things, but it doesn't need to. What this does is showcase a sense of danger, a sense of mystery, a sense of passion, a sense of sensuality. The layering of this is really, really lovely. So the next one that we're going to be listening to is Circle Dance of the Evernight Castle, which I'm really intrigued by. What an interesting title. Let's see what this sounds like, shall we? We get mystery, whimsy. Big beats here. Shang, boom, shang, boom. Really get a sense of twinkling in the evening. Oh, that's beautiful. It's nice to see Yu-Peng Chen at the piano. We already have a counter melody. In the oboe, yeah. You see that little dance? A lot of accordion in this. So, something worth mentioning is we have a lot of pizz in here, a lot of pizzicato, especially. You can notice it in the strings in this particular section right here. Right there, all that's pizzicato. We're just plucking the string with our fingers. And what I like here is that we see the accordionist, we see the accordionist smiling. And what I first thought was maybe mystery or intrigue actually ends up being this perfect feeling of beauty, of grace, of a beautiful summer's eve. I really like how this accordion melody can take us in multiple different directions emotionally and put us in different situations depending on how we feel as listeners. And one more time stopping, I think the reason why we can put ourselves in a summer day is this recap and this repeat of the motif, because we go ba-da-da-ba-ba-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da-ba-da-ba-da. That little shift will make us feel a very different experience than if it was just ba-da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da-ba-da-da. It's different, right? Still a little bit of a sense of not everything is as it appears. Nice doubling in there. Again, a counter melody in the oboe there. So lovely. Nice with the flutes up top. Nice, really playful notes down up in the upper register of the piano. Da, 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 ya, da. Now we get a little bit of that chasing sound again. Even though it's a little subdued. Nice, it's like an accordion concerto. But per usual, we then hand it off to another instrument. Very virtuosic playing here, fantastic playing. More doubling with the piano, re-emphasizing that sensation of walking down the Seine or something. Truly virtuosic playing here, for real. Now we're having a crescendo into big beat again. A little bit of opposition here for sure. Key change. Oh, but something's not quite right. We're having a juxtaposition between that main motif and now this feeling of uncertainty. Oh, that's lovely. That's such a gorgeous melody. And the recap has emphasis. The recap adds more layers of instruments. Now we get danger. But now we're back to this playful thing with the piano again. Look at how the piano aids the accordion in telling a story. See. But do you hear that? Do you hear that? So we already heard this melody in the accordion. This is what I'm talking about. We set it up and then we alley-oop it. That's the cool thing about this particular piece, and also something that Yu-Peng Chen has done quite a bit, is alley-ooping the motif. So we have the motif. You have that in the accordion earlier, and then now you have it in the strings. It's really satisfying. And that's just setting it up for the sort of full experience there, while there's still stuff going on underneath. It's like it's its own little section, and yet it's repeating something that we heard before, just with more emphasis. And it's a bit of a waltz if you hear it. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Love that. Oh, beautiful turn there melodically. Oh. Oh, key change. Reminds me of Prokofiev, Romeo and Juliet. Tybalt's and the Montagues. Or Capulets and the Montagues. Yeah, very Prokofiev in here. It's all melody. Oh, gorgeous. Oh, big space. Back to the piano, back to home. I mean, gorgeous playing. I love classical piano. We're having a build-up here as he repeats the notes. Oh, that's amazing. Cascading down. ja, 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 ja. A little bit of tension in there in the upper register, especially. Sort of running. Fantastic. I love the little run that we get and how we end this. We end this particular piece there with the trumpet at the very end, recapping that little motif. These two pieces are prime examples of recapping motif variations on a theme within a song itself, within a piece itself, and really gorgeous stuff, because what this is and what we're experiencing with Yu-Peng Chen in this moment, for a lot of you that maybe have not been exposed to classical writing in its purest form, this is the evolution of classical music. This is classical music. What you're listening to is a modern day composer that is writing in a romantic style that we would hear from, I've mentioned Prokofiev. There's the soundscapes here of Puccini, ever flowing melody, very prominent stuff. This music is so wonderful because it takes everything that I loved about the compositions of Genshin Impact and it becomes its own thing. There is no context for these two pieces. This is all truly based on what you hear and what you feel. This is the reality of what music around video games is in the classical music world. We are left to our own devices to interpret what we are hearing, and it's up to the composer to compose well enough for us to take a mental image of something and run with it, whatever it be, whether it's right or wrong, it doesn't matter. What matters is that we feel something and that we connect to it. And this is beautiful, beautiful, florid, fantastic writing. And I am just such a fan of Yu-Peng Chen, and I'm so excited to see where his journey goes. I would love to have Yu-Peng Chen on the channel to talk about his journey and to his continued journey, and also just to say that I am just such an enormous fan of this work, and it's truly a blessing to hear modern day classical music that is melody focused and melody centric. Fantastic stuff. If you like this, feel free to subscribe, and as always, thanks a ton, and I'll see you later.